Some children vanish forever, others are found, but the truth is far worse. They return changed, silent, carrying secrets no one can explain. These are the cases that baffle historians, terrify families, and defy every attempt at reason. For centuries, their stories have been buried under rumors, fear, and lies. But tonight we bring them back into the light. 4 child mysteries so strange, so unsettling you might wish they had never been found. Welcome to the silent era, and this is the story they tried to forget. Our first mystery begins in 12th century England in a quiet farming village called Woolpit. The harvest season had just ended when the villagers saw something that would haunt their stories for generations. From the edge of the forest, 2 children stepped into the clearing, a boy and a girl, their faces pale but tinted with a luminous shade of green. Not the sickly hue of an illness, but a deep, vibrant green that seemed to belong to another world. Their clothes were like nothing anyone had ever seen, woven from a strange, coarse material dyed in colors foreign to England. And when the villagers spoke to them, the children only stared, answering in a rapid, musical tongue that no one could understand. The farmer who found them brought them to the manor of Sir Richard de Calne, the most prominent man in Woolpit, hoping he could help. But as the days passed, a troubling truth emerged. No matter what food they were offered, bread, meat, apples, they turned away in disgust. They refused everything until someone placed before them a pile of freshly picked green beans. They ate them raw, husks and all, as if it were the only food they had ever known. For weeks, this was all they would eat. Slowly, their bodies regained strength, and the green in their skin began to fade. But the boy's health was fragile. Within a few months, he fell gravely ill and died. The girl survived. She learned English, and eventually told a story that left the entire village speechless. She said she and her brother were from a place called St. Martin's Land, a world bathed in perpetual twilight, where the light was dim as dusk, and the sun never shone. Everyone there, she said, had green skin. One day, while tending their father's flock, they had heard the distant chime of bells. Following the sound, they found the mouth of a dark cave. Inside, the air grew colder, the ground sloped downward, and the ringing grew louder. Then came a strange glow, and when they emerged, they were here, in Woolpit, the sky brighter than they had ever seen. When she was asked to point to her homeland on a map, the girl only shook her head. She had never seen a map, and besides, she said, there were no maps of St. Martin's Land. Theories have swirled for centuries. Some say they wandered through a gateway into the realm of the fairies, where time runs differently, and the world is lit in eternal twilight. Others insist they were not from Earth at all, but travelers from a distant world, lost between dimensions. And to this day no map marks the land she called home. If the mystery of the green children seemed distant, a tale from a forgotten age, our next case is far more recent and far more brutal. April, 1922. In the quiet French village of Goaz-a-Ludo, 2-year-old Pauline Picard vanished from her family's farm. One moment she was playing near the barn, the next, she was gone. Her parents searched the property until their voices were hoarse. Within hours, over 150 villagers joined the hunt, combing fields, forests, and nearby rivers. Days passed, then weeks. Not a single trace was found. The Picards began to accept the unthinkable. Perhaps their daughter had been taken by wild animals or succumbed to the cold. Then, 1 month later, police arrived with a photograph. A little girl had been found wandering alone in Cherbourg, more than 200 miles away. She looked like Pauline. Her parents boarded the next train, hearts pounding. But when they met her, something felt wrong. The girl didn't recognize them. She didn't speak their language. Still, she had Pauline's face, Pauline's hair, Pauline's eyes. The Picards told themselves it was the trauma. Surely, time and love would bring her memories back. They took her home. Weeks passed. The girl remained distant, quiet. And then horror struck again. Less than a mile from the Picard farm, a farmer cycling past stopped in shock. In the grass lay the naked, mutilated body of a little girl. Her hands and feet were gone. Beside her was a neatly folded set of clothes, the exact clothes Pauline wore on the day she disappeared. And next to them the severed head of a man, its features mangled, half-eaten by foxes. The discovery raised even darker questions. That spot had been searched before thoroughly. which meant someone had placed the body there. Someone wanted it to be found. Suspicion fell on two men. The first, a farmhand named Christoph Karaman, had a criminal past imprisoned for rape years earlier. Witnesses claimed he'd been unusually affectionate with Pauline, even promising to take her to a better home. But when questioned, he had an alibi. The second suspect, a man named Yves Martin, appeared at the Picard home after the girl from Cherbourg had arrived. He asked if she was really, then muttered, "God is fair, I am guilty," before bursting into hysterical laughter and running away. The next day, he was committed to an asylum. No one was charged. The Picards returned the foundling to Cherbourg, admitting she was not their daughter. She was renamed Marie-Louise Pauline and placed in the care of nuns, where she died 2 years later during a measles outbreak. 2 girls. 1 name. Both lost. If Pauline Picard's story was a tragedy, our next mystery is a deception that fooled an entire country, and it took almost 90 years for the truth to come out. August 1912. 4-year-old Bobby Dunbar was on a family fishing trip to Swayze Lake, Louisiana. He played near the water and then, without a sound, he was gone. His parents searched the lake, the woods, every trail, but Bobby had vanished. 8 months later, hope returned. A boy matching Bobby's description was found in Mississippi, traveling with a man named William Walters. The Dunbars rushed to see him. Some newspapers claimed the child cried "Mother," and ran to Leslie Dunbar's arms. Others reported something very different, that Leslie hesitated, unsure if this was truly her son. Walters insisted the boy wasn't Bobby at all. He said his name was Bruce Anderson, the son of Julia Anderson, a woman who had once worked for his family. Julia came forward, saying the boy was hers. She admitted she had let Walters take Bruce for a short trip, but claimed he never brought him back. The case went to court. 2 mothers, 1 child. Julia, poor and unmarried, was no match for the Dunbars' wealth and influence. In a disastrous moment, she failed to pick her son from a lineup of several boys. The public turned against her. The judge awarded the child to the Dunbars. Walters went to prison. Julia went home alone. 4 decades, the boy lived as Bobby Dunbar, married, had children, built a life, and no one questioned it again. Until the year 2000. Bobby's granddaughter, Margaret, started digging through old records. She found letters, testimonies, and finally agreed to a DNA test between Bobby's son and the son of Bobby's younger brother. The result was undeniable. They were not related. The boy the Dunbars raised was not Bobby Dunbar. So what happened to the real Bobby? Did he drown in the lake that day in 1912? Was he taken and never returned? And the boy who lived his life as Bobby, whose child was he? Over a century later, no one knows. Bobby Dunbar's case showed us how a child's identity can be claimed by the wrong hands. But in our final mystery, the boy himself may have never truly known who he was. Germany, 1828. A teenage boy stumbled into the city of Nuremberg. His clothes were worn, his steps unsteady, his face pale as if he had never felt the sun. He carried 2 letters. One claimed he had been kept in total isolation since infancy. The other, supposedly from his mother, named him Caspar Hauser. He could barely speak. What words he knew were broken and strange, as if language itself was a foreign thing. He refused every kind of food except plain bread and water. To the people of Nuremberg, it was as if he had stepped straight out of another world. Placed under the care of a schoolmaster, Caspar began to change. He learned quickly, remembered everything he was taught, but his story stayed the same: a dark, windowless cell, a faceless man who brought food and water and no knowledge of the world beyond. Then the first attack. October 1829. Caspar was found with a deep cut on his head, claiming the same faceless man had tried to silence him forever. Some believed him. Others whispered he had wounded himself for attention. 6 months later, another wound. Another explanation that didn't quite add up. People began to wonder, was Caspar a victim, or a master storyteller? The answer never came. December 14, 1833. Caspar returned home clutching his chest, blood pouring through his shirt. He gasped that a stranger had stabbed him in the court gardens, but before fleeing, the attacker had handed him a small leather purse. Inside was a single folded note. It claimed to reveal where Casper came from and hinted that he could describe his killer in perfect detail. But the name at the bottom, just the letter M, meant nothing to anyone. 3 days later, Caspar Hauser was dead. Theories erupted. Some said he was the lost prince of Baden, hidden away to prevent him from taking the throne. Others called him a fraud who spun lies for sympathy. And a few believed every word he ever spoke. Whoever he truly was, one thing is certain: BB Caspar took his real identity to the grave. Even in death he kept his secrets. Caspar Hauser's story ends as it began, in mystery. And he is not alone. The green-skinned children who stepped from the forest, the 2 Paulines, one dead, one unknown, the boy who lived and died as Bobby Dunbar, and Caspar himself, all share one thing. They were found but never truly brought home. Because being found is not the same as being saved. Sometimes, the truth hides deeper than the lies, and sometimes, it's better left buried. These are the cases that refuse to die, the questions that echo through time unanswered, unforgotten. You've been watching The Silent Era. Keep your mind open and your eyes on the shadows. Because somewhere, even now, another story like this is beginning.